Hi all, back again. So today we're talking about suicidal empathy. And I think it's a term that I only heard not that long ago, but I just thought it was a really good term of phrase and something that I see a lot of people struggling with. That they're so empathic. They're so, and as words have lots of meaning. So empathy to you might mean something different. So in terms of what I mean by empathy is relating to another people's emotions. So when you are empathic, it means you can understand how somebody else might feel. And that's a wonderful gift and a skill, but a terrible curse. Because a lot of us are brought up, especially people that come for therapy, are brought up in an environment where they had to understand where other people were at to survive their childhood, either emotionally, psychologically, or physically. So a lot of us are very attuned to other people. We've also been conditioned to do that by the way we were brought up. You know, when parents, saying, you make me angry, we come to the assumption, we get the message that I'm somehow responsible for their feelings. And so I better notice how they feel so I can deal with that, protect myself. So empathy is a wonderful gift. And I have the gift of empathy, but I realize to be overly empathic to the point where you are almost killing yourself. Now, I know that's quite a radical term, isn't it? Suicide, meaning taking your own life. But I actually see it as a form of not physical suicide, but emotional suicide. Because think of yourself as an energetic being, which we are. And if you are overly empathic, sometimes that can look like you giving and giving and giving and giving. And so because you feel bad, you feel sorry, you feel compassion, you feel pity. These words just hold different energies around them. So for me, empathy, is a wonderful gift. But if you're overly empathic or too empathic, or you over-identify with another person's pain, somehow it becomes your pain. And this is where we get, that's in, for me, that's a huge sort of invasion of someone saying, well, obviously you can't cope with your pain, so I'll help you. Now, if we're not aware of how energy works and how, yes, I can step into someone else's field and pick up on their energy to help me understand where they're at, so I can actually, have a bit more understanding about where they're coming from. But a lot of people will go over, pick up some of this energy and then kind of not realize they're bringing it back with them. And so they sometimes would feel responsible, which is kind of what we were taught early on. And we are very habitual by nature as human beings. So something we do in the first 7 to 10 years of our life to help us survive just becomes a pattern of being later on in life that if we're not really aware of, we don't even realize we're running these same patterns and they don't work. Because, that because you somehow feel worried about everybody, you feel guilty all the time, you feel overwhelmed. There are lots of symptoms to help you understand. You might even feel depressed or anxious. And I think they're all symptoms of perhaps things that you might be doing in your life that you're not fully aware of. Because maybe, you're taught just you need to be a good person. And part of being a good person is feeling for other people and being empathic. And so think about energy. People that take energy, we call them emotional vampires or abusive or even narcissists, where they need to feed off other people's energy. Well, the same could be said for a suicidal empath. Because they're so giving of their energy that they don't realize they're depleting all their own resources and then wonder why they're depressed, anxious, worried, fearful, overwhelmed and worn out, continually tired all the time. And it's about realizing you have to kind of be much more aware of what's happening with your energy system. And of course, we have all these people around us or situations around us that are being bombarded through our phones, through the telly, telling us about some of this stuff, but also the people in your own life who are really struggling right now. And you know, generally good people will feel very empathic and very compassionate, and that's wonderful. It's wonderful to have that, but not at the not I've forgotten the word, but not at my expense. That's it. Not at our expense. If I'm so busy feeling sorry and bad and empathic and compassionate to everybody, and I give, then that's not really honouring your own system. Think about it as a system, an energy system. If I'm continually, and that can look like I'm a really good person. What I'm giving, I think about everybody else, I'm meeting all their needs, and I care so much. But we all know people that care and give, and they sometimes can be quite martyrish and then go, I'm so tired and overwhelmed and, you know, worn out from everything that, you know, I'm worrying about everybody as if it's something to be proud of. Oh, well, you know, and I've said this before, you know, when I told someone that I didn't really worry about things, they were like, oh, well, don't you care? As if like worry equals care. I don't think worry equals care. I think worry's about us. Worry's about, I don't like, it's like trying to control the uncontrollable. It's like having a God complex. And so I want to challenge those of you that maybe are really struggling, because maybe you have that suicidal empathy happening for you. And I think it's quite a drastic term, but sometimes we need to wake up. Because we see the people that are taking, and we're very quick to judge, oh, they're abusive, or they're mean, but no one really holds to account the good, caring, kind person. And they're the people I think that need to wake up. Because we can all see the abusive person. They actually, by their actions, if you look at someone's actions, you'll see it. Unless they're really clever and they kind of covert in that. But actually the people that are good seem to kind of get an accolade or a badge, or I care about others and I've got a big heart. And that's wonderful. You know, I'm not knocking that. But if your heart is so big and you're so busy caring about everybody else, but you're struggling with anxiety and can't sleep and overwhelm and all the things that, you know, like are symptoms of you giving, actually, on some level, you're pouring out your energy for others. But what about you? See, I don't think those loving, caring, kind people are good role models for us sometimes. Because I think we've all been told we need to be like them. And I'm sorry, but I don't think we do. Because they're the people that are struggling. They're the people that end up sick with cancer and things like that, because they've given so much of their energy to others that there's nothing left for them. And a lot of have been conditioned, told, be kind, be nice. Especially those of us who've been brought up in churches or had that Christian ideology. Turn the other cheek, love everybody, you know, don't love the sin, but love the sinner. And I don't know, I think it doesn't work, and it's not right, and you could be killing yourself slowly, and it is a slow suicide of death, because you're meeting everyone else's needs and you're being there for everybody, but who's being there for you? Now, I think a lot of that is because we've been taught, don't think about yourself, think about everybody else. And we live in a world where everything's outside of us, and we're very compelled to the outside of us. I mean, just look at us, we're all on our phones. Come back to the inside, come back to you. Come back to you. This life is not about, I believe, this is my perspective, this is my beliefs. It's not about how much money, how successful, how, even how happy your kids are. This is not about any of that. This is about you learning about who you are in this world, on the planet. This is about you learning to be a good advocate of this avatar. You see, you cannot give out of an empty cup. And I see so many people struggling because they're constantly thinking and worrying and giving to other people. And that's wonderful. If you've got a full cup, then give out of the fullness of your cup. But if you realize that you're giving and you're draining your own cup, it is a form of suicide. Maybe not physical suicide, but emotional suicide, psychological suicide. And I know a lot of people will think, well, that's a bit drastic, bit of a drastic word. But sometimes we need to bring words that are drastic to help you understand what you're actually doing and why you might be struggling as much as you can, much as you are. So I just want to point out a few things about that in regard to, because I think the symptoms are what will reveal that to you. Sometimes we don't even realize what we're doing or how much we're giving. And look at the symptoms. Are you anxious? Are you fearful? Are you overwhelmed? Are you tired all the time? Do you constantly worry? Are you having sleepless nights? Do you not take care of the body? Are you overeating? Are you taking drugs? Are you smoking? Addictions are a symptom of wanting to self-soothe. Yeah? I was talking to someone the other day about vapes. And it was funny, I said, they're dummies for grown-ups. And actually, they bought the vape, and on it said, it was called the red dummy. And I thought, wouldn't a dummy be cheaper? Anyway, just an aside. Because we're all trying to self-soothe. And so we're doing things, we're eating, we're drinking, we're vaping, we're gambling, we're taking drugs, we're having sex, we're, wanting everyone to love us and admire us and desire us. And this is addiction. There's an addiction. Oh, I need everyone to love me. And what if people don't love me? And what if people don't like me? And so I'm ultra nice. I'm ultra giving. I'm so worried about meeting their needs. And I put my needs at the bottom of the pile. And you wonder why you're struggling. Because, you were brought up in an environment where you weren't allowed to say no, and you were taught to look out for everybody else, and as a form of protection sometimes. So it was a survival stance that you've carried on into adulthood, and it's a pattern. And we're very good at these patterns. Once we get into a groove, we find it hard to get out of that groove because we are habitual by nature. And that's a wonderful thing because otherwise we'd have to learn to drive the car every time we sat in the car. It just becomes automatic responses and reactions. And so maybe you're someone that's clicked on this video because you thought, oh, that's a bit drastic, or that's a bit, that's a bit shocking, but somehow it resonated with you. And I want you to hold you to account, because sometimes you're actually killing yourself. On some level, you are drowning, dying, and you've lost your sense of self because you're so invested in everyone around you being okay. And I think ultimately it's because, well, if they're okay, I'm okay. Now, I've worked with people like that where I've encouraged them to kind of learn to trust themselves, think about themselves, take back their power. And how can I do that when the people around me, maybe your children, parents, are struggling? How can I be okay when they're not? And in a way, that's suicidal empathy. That's suicidal compassion even. So all these words that we bandy around, what do they actually mean? What does it mean to be compassionate? Do you understand what compassion is? Do you understand what empathy is? Do you understand what sympathy is? Do you understand the difference between sympathy and empathy? And are you being empathic to you? Are you looking after you? And a lot of people, they feel guilty. They get triggered. They get this feeling of guilt and worry and fear, maybe even anger. oh no, that's wrong. That's bad for me to think about me. Why is it wrong and bad to think about you? Why are you not important? Why is everyone else important, more important than you? How do you sustain your own energy? How do you balance it out so you're not giving too much? And I think you can only do that when you really know yourself. Really, really know yourself. So come back to you. Come back to you. Listen to your own heartbeat. Be a good advocate. Control this. Manage this. Take care of the body. I'm going to leave it there today. But you take care. See you next time.